What's up everybody, Eddie Hates Anime here. Revisiting the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the first time since, well, like 2 weeks ago with Fantastic Four. Actually, at the time of recording this, I just got back from watching it again. Fantastic Four! But I digress. My point is that it's been a great month for Marvel, not only with a great summer blockbuster, but also with Eyes of Wakanda, a smaller scale animation project, the 5th addition to the Marvel animation umbrella, and one that many people probably still don't know about, as advertisements, at least to me, seemed pretty minimal. But there were still plenty of people who I did see who were hyped for this one, not only because it's Marvel, but because who doesn't always welcome a visit to Wakanda? There's a lot of Black Panther related comics I plan to get into at one point or another, but as of right now, Ultimate Black Panther is really all of the Wakanda I've been getting lately, so it was nice to get a chance to revisit the MCU's rendition. Now, when I mention the MCU, you might get a little worried. Oh man, it's the MCU? Does that mean I have to watch a million other projects before this? I have to do all this homework? Come on, I haven't seen Fantastic Four yet, and I still haven't even seen the Marvels. Oh yeah, Daredevil's a thing. No. Nicely enough, similar to Fantastic Four, it's something that you can watch as its own thing, even though it is obviously set in the mainline MCU. You don't need to know anything besides maybe the first Black Panther movie. Not even that though, honestly just a basic understanding of Wakanda. You could probably watch like a 5-minute explanation or something, or even go without it. Like I said, it is quite standalone. Sure, you'll miss a couple things here and there, but for the most part, I'm sure someone could go into this blind without knowing anything Marvel and be fine. Also, with that, the project, even knowing it's MCU, doesn't spend any of its runtime heavily setting up future projects, or at least it doesn't do it in a way that's super in your face, which is also a problem the MCU has had in the past, one of the bigger criticisms that people use against it. But this is probably just the benefits of being an anthology TV animation rather than a blockbuster movie. But we all remember that What If couldn't even escape that problem, so it's still something to be happy about. But what am I still yapping about? We got a series to review and to share thoughts on, so let's just get right into it. I'm gonna do the normal review for the people who haven't seen it, and then a spoiler section at the end. Will delve a bit more into the details, but I will forewarn you before then, so do not worry. Eyes of Wakanda, the newest Marvel animation property, is a 4-episode anthology series created by Todd Harris, released on Disney Plus on August 1st of 2025. It was also developed by the legendary at this point, Ryan Coogler, who has not only worked for Marvel before with Black Panther and the recently released Ironheart, but caught the world by storm with the release of the movie Sinners earlier this year. What a banger, by the way. It is also the second project in Phase 6 of the MCU, right after the earlier mentioned Fantastic Four. So that's pretty cool. This is going to be a weird one because it is an anthology series, but I'm still going to talk about the series in a broader sense, not to spoil any specific plot points or whatever, but in the spoiler half of the video, I will talk about more specific stuff within each episode. So unless I specify something's from a specific episode, just assume I'm talking about the series as a broader whole. To start us out, let's talk about the medium we are in, animation, and how the story took advantage of said medium. I found that the animation movements read a little bit Disney-ish, borrowing a bit of their flair, or should I say the animation language, the fluidity of the characters, but even a bit of the actual dialogue beats and pacing feel a little Disney-ish at times, at least compared to other Marvel property animations in the past. While still having a bit of its own identity, it's not completely Disney 2.0. For example, the actual art and approach to how everything looks visually is inspired by hand-painted African styles. I'm just saying that if I showed this to someone who knew nothing of Marvel, they might mistake it for a Disney original. Wouldn't be the first time. But yeah, as a fan of animation, I'm a bit of an anime fan if you didn't notice, I get so fucking giddy over the animation process, and I'm always glad to see big companies experiment with different styles and techniques. Here we even get a little bit of CG mixed in as well, but it's quite seamless in my opinion. While we are here, I will mention the action and fight scenes as well, since animation is obviously a big part of that. They are quite well choreographed, used as a storytelling device. They show off character quirks and personality. They aren't just a flurry of well-animated sequences, but have intent and thought behind them. Also, this series doesn't shy away from showing things. Being a tale rooted in conflicts, it has plenty of death. The way that these deaths are shown is not like crazy brutal or gory or anything, but the weight of every last one is felt, and I don't know why, but that kind of surprised me. Maybe due to the Disney thing I mentioned earlier, I don't know, because it's the most Disney the MCU has ever felt to me. Now notice I said MCU specifically, because yes, I know there's hella cartoons on Disney, even some of the MCU adjacent ones that are Marvel and are Disney obviously, but this isn't that. This isn't what I mean. I'm talking about actual mainline MCU canon. Also, character designs. All the fits are good. Side note, Wakandan masks have always been a favorite of mine. Pretty much any animal themed mask can go crazy if you have the sauce, which they do. Not only the Black Panther ones, but there is one in episode 1 that's pretty cool, of an animal, and I liked it quite a bit. Also, not to mention, I won't spoil my favorite one, but there's one in episode 3 that's pretty crazy. So yeah, before I get too hype about that one, let's just move on and switch gears for a moment to the music. I'm doing this a bit out of order. Normally I start with the plot and the characters and the setting, storytelling, dialogue, script, and then talking about the presentation and how it's shown visually and audibly. But I feel like talking about presentation first. That's why we just did the art, and now we're going to talk about the OST. First off, the intro and the ending. Do I even need to mention are bangers? Oh man, they are really good. I'm just saying, they set the mood perfectly going into an episode, get you hype. The intro animation is just kind of like, here's episode 1 through 4. There you go. And the ending is a lot more landscape based and whatnot, but that's also kind of good as a cool down after the episode. So they both work very well and get you immersed into the series. In general, I always love the Black Panther related music, whether it's the traditional African sounds or hip hop or the more somber pieces like Rihanna's in Black Panther 2. This portion of the Marvel Cinematic Universe always brings the heaters. It's really cool because, for example, in something like Infinity War, when they go to Wakanda, you hear those drums and you're immediately transported there. I love when music can do that, when it can bring you somewhere in every way but physically. Also, they did have a huge advantage with the Moon Knight composer Hesham Nazi on board. If I'm butchering that name, please just let me know. Don't laugh. I genuinely just do not know. But in that series, he did quite the job fusing music with culture in a way that contributes to a purpose. So definitely a perfect candidate for the scoring of this if you weren't going to bring in the composer from the 2 Black Panther movies. As you know by now, Eyes of Wakanda's plot isn't just one thing. It is split into 4 separate stories that do fall under one banner, but they do stand alone as their own things as well. There is some connectivity, especially within the last episode, but it's not too deeply intertwined. This doesn't have the fate that the What If series had, so I do appreciate that. Within the story, we explore different periods of time where the War Dogs are operating. The War Dogs are basically secret Wakandan operatives. They go on missions and shit. I'm actually glad it was mostly about the War Dogs here rather than the Black Panther, because as much as I am interested in other Black Panthers, I like the other Wakandan forces just as much, like the Dora Milaje or the Royal Guard. But due to this, much of the series actually isn't in Wakanda itself, but other geographical areas. However, it still introduces plenty of lore, which, while not being my main investment from this series, it is a goated bonus. Whether it's all the different technology, weapons, or artifacts being introduced, seeing how the Wakandan technology improved throughout the different eras, already having such an insane gap and leg up on the rest of the world, was pretty fascinating. Alright, mini synopsis time. Episode 1 is a solo journey of a warrior to capture a traitor. Episode 2 is the true story of the Trojan horse within this universe, which means Achilles. Episode 3, it's my favorite. Not going to spoil how it all happens, but there is the surprise Iron Fist edition, which, yes, kind of is a spoiler, but it was in the trailers and all that, and you probably already know about that by now. And I already mentioned it earlier in the review, kind of subtly. Episode 4 is a story I can't really summarize without spoiling. Just watch it yourselves. The only reason I mention all these is to kind of show you the small range between the episodes, so you can kind of get what I mean. I should also mention, at a point in the series, there is a time travel plot introduced, and I only bring that up to bring up a farther problem in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because we've gotten to the point where every MCU property that features either time travel or the multiverse has done it in a different way, with different rules, every single time, without fail. So at this point, I didn't even worry about it. To be honest, I just come to accept it. I refuse to think about it any farther and hurt my brain, because I just don't care. If it helps the story, cool. Break the rules that the other things have already established. I don't give a fuck anymore. All this is gonna reset after Secret Wars anyways. Plus, I'm already pretty used to, like, comic bullshit. It can start as not bullshit, but then because of how long, like 60 plus years of writing with all these different writers, similar to here, we get all these different directors and projects and scheduling things. Stuff's gonna contradict each other. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying I refuse to think about it any farther. Next up, let's talk about the characters. Not specifically, don't want to delve too deeply in each episode, but I do really like them. The only thing I may say is with these short run times and being an anthology series where characters don't return within the episodes, most of the characters that aren't the mains, even sometimes the mains though, fall under one trope or another, kind of being one noted without getting too much development, which is fine. It comes with the territory. But that leads me to literally my biggest criticism of this show is how short it is. Felt like they were testing the waters for how it would do. So I really hope we not only get a season 2 for Wakanda, maybe expand a bit on these stories or give us some new ones, but maybe the possibility of seeing a show like this for other cultures. Asgard could be cool. I don't know, maybe other cosmic stuff. Kunlun. The Marvel Universe has so many places, even ones that haven't been touched yet, that you could just introduce this way or expand on this way. My second biggest gripe is that while yes, this isn't a what if situation, it still feels slightly held back and held down by the weight of the previous Black Panther stories in the universe so far. I imagine there could have been a version of this story that didn't feel the burden of tying into the previously established lore and explored more without the risk of stepping on the timeline's toes, but that's not a huge complaint. It's just more of an observation, especially after seeing the ending of the series. Because like I said, episode 4 is the one that, compared to the other episodes, does more of the connectivity. So don't take this section the wrong way. It's just something that I'm kind of, back and forth on with this series a bit, because I like how it's done in the story, but the fact that they had to do it, I don't know, because maybe if they didn't have to do that, they could have done something else. It's just I'm more interested in what the possibilities could have been. Man, the possibilities were low-key endless, but instead they went this route, which you could call the safe route. I don't know. It's an anthology at the end of the day, so it is pretty safe anyways. Like, you were never gonna really change the whole scope of the universe with a series like this, which is not what I wanted, by the way. I'm just saying that the possibilities of the stories we've gotten could have been different had they not feel the responsibility of tying it back into the Black Panther stories we know. Which I don't know if they did have to do that. I don't know if Kevin Feige himself was like, you better connect this back to this because this is probably why people were watching this in the first place. Or if that was a decision they made. I don't know. I wasn't fucking there. So yeah, don't think I'm shitting on this and how it was done, because I really liked it. I'm just saying. Last but not least though, would I recommend this series to you, the viewer? Yes, you watching this right now. Angel from California, Rick from Louisiana, Susie from Manhattan. I see you guys. I really got to go back to putting this section at the start of the video. I feel like I spoiled this part with how enthusiastically or unenthusiastically I talk about the series before here, because I'm sure it's obvious by now. Yes, this is a very easy recommendation. While it doesn't reinvent the wheel story-wise, it is an extremely welcome addition to the Marvel Universe, both for entertainment and the culture. It also offers rich animation techniques and vibes. So whether you're interested in Marvel or just Wakanda and its lore already, or if you just want a good animation with a lot of heart in it, this is probably for you. I guess if you're a viewer who watches only what's absolutely necessary to understand the big crossovers, then I guess you could skip this and be fine, but where's the fun in that? It's only 2 hours in total. Check it out, man. What's there to lose? Show Marvel that we want more good stories that just happen to be in the MCU, that don't have to connect to the next Avengers movie. I wouldn't mind non-MCU stuff as well, but we don't have to go that far, because I know Kevin Feige is allergic to the Elseworlds concept. Hell, if you're really not sold on this, just pick one of the episodes, not 4. Pick like 1, 2, or 3. Check that one out. Might fuck up the order a bit, but let's say you really just only care about Iron Fist, go watch episode 3, and then maybe you'll want to watch the rest. I don't know. I think this is worth checking out, because even if it isn't the craziest thing you've ever seen in your life, it is different enough from all the other Marvel stuff we've gotten lately. It is a breath of fresh air. So I think it's worth it, even if you're not super duper hyped for it, which I am, by the way. The only reason I explain it like this is because the people that are already hyped already watched it. The people that I'm trying to convince are the people who are still on the fence. If there's people that are dead set on not watching it, they're already not going to watch it. So it's those people in the middle, right? That's the whole thing here. But yeah, that's it for the non-spoiler review. So leave if you haven't watched the series, and then come back to this later. But like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And let me know in the comments if you're going to check out this series or not, and what you're excited for, I guess. Now, if you have seen it, let's get into some spoilers. I have just random sporadic notes. There's no true order here. I might actually add a bunch of stuff that's not in these notes, because I didn't even really write too much for the spoiler portion scripted wise. I just kind of wrote down what I knew I was going to talk about. Episode 3 is easily my favorite episode, with competition from 4 from a hype perspective at least. Storytelling wise, I'd have to give it to either 1 or 2, because yes, this is probably like objectively better from start to finish, but episode 3 has that fucking hypeness from Iron Fist, and it does have that more playful banter, the laid back nature in general. I do love this serious schmerish, but this was your classic, not enemies to lovers, but lovers to enemies to lovers story, and the MC of that one was just too likable. The action was insane, and it gives me some hope that Iron Fist might return. I know people didn't care for the Danny Rand in Netflix, but I feel like if he came back, he would be a lot better now. I don't have anything to back that up, but I just feel like it would be done better. And I am someone that likes consistency, so already having seen him in Netflix for 2 seasons and in Defenders with Jessica and Daredevil, who are both returning. Well, Daredevil has returned in multiple things, and Jessica is confirmed coming back in season 2 of Born Again. Luke Cage is obviously the more likely one to come back next than Iron Fist, but it would be very cool if Iron Fist returned Danny Rand. It is just the hardest to bring back with all the baggage that comes with his background of like Kunlun and stuff, as opposed to these New York City street heroes that are just New York, really. So he might have to be the one who's just like soft cannoned a bit, but maybe keep the same actor, or just redo it all alone. It'd just be kind of weird when he comes back with Defenders characters and it's a different actor. But I don't know if it even matters when bringing this up, because there are 2 very different points in time for the Iron Fist anyways. However, I will say, I actually believe that this Iron Fist beat the damn dragon. I'm sorry, Danny. I'm sorry. You ain't. I do not fucking believe that that the Netflix version beat that fucking dragon. Blame the Netflix television budget, though. And that's another thing. It's actually nice to see Iron Fist powers to full potential, because in animation you have that freedom. Live action, obviously, when you're on that budget, which I'm sure isn't a small budget by any means, but it's still not, you know, like the Disney Plus budget. You even saw it with Daredevil. He was swinging around and shit like he was Spider-Man and Born Again. It was really nice to see some Iron Fisting. That sounded kind of crazy. So when we do get the next live action Iron Fist, I'm sure it's going to be bananas. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention was episode 4, and the thing I couldn't mention in the first half of the video, with it all connecting back with the axe in Killmonger. I mean, first off, I wasn't actually expecting that, but without the axe, we got no Black Panther, no Wakanda Forever, no Ironheart, technically no Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame either. Or at least it'd be very different. So interesting, very interesting. I don't know, you know, I don't mind it. Like I said, I think that's a fine way to connect it all and, you know, make it like the choice whether Wakanda helps the world or not and all that stuff. I think the time travel is fine as well. It's just, let's say that there's a version of this that isn't in the MCU. What plot do they do as their big finale instead of a connect it back to Black Panther thing? I just would love to know what they were thinking. But I digress. The Black Panther that we haven't seen before in episode 4 was pretty cool. I loved that design. It was so sick. Every Black Panther design in this universe has been a banger so far. I think we've gotten 5 of them. We got T'Challa, Eric, or Killmonger, Shuri, and then this one. So yeah, that was nice. And yeah, I do really like how it was done. Albeit being a tad bit forced, but it's okay. Who cares? I don't really care. It's something that sounds like I care about more than I do because I bring it up so much, but I'm just bringing it up for the sake of bringing it up because it is something in the MCU, which has a past of caring too much at times about connectivity. Because connectivity started great, and then it got to a point where it kind of was making other projects suffer. And yeah, I'm not gonna get too crazy into it. I could do like this whole discussion thing, but I don't want to do that. I just wanted to bring up a couple things. It was really Iron Fist and that. I mean, we could get into like Achilles and that whole betrayal. I thought that portrayal was amazing, by the way. That episode was great. I thought that Noni was probably... Ooh, I don't know what my favorite character would be from this, actually, but Nani was a really good one, and I loved her showing up in episode 2. Her story was probably the most straightforward, but her character itself was one of the more layered ones. That was another thing that I mentioned like earlier. They didn't shy away from the brutality of showing how these takeovers of different people would look and stuff. It was all really sad. I don't know if we've seen those alien things in episode 4 at all, but those looked sick as well. I thought I should mention. Maybe we'll see those return in the future. So yeah, this series I think shines at its best with its themes and the broader interpretations and whatnot, as opposed to like the very direct stuff in each episode. Like I like the consistencies within the stories, as well as that historical, very in its time storytelling type of thing. It feels kind of like an MCU history book. I love that. Some people might find that to be a bit slower and duller than others, but I thought that was a pretty cool concept. So on top of everything I said, if you like history, MCU history right here, that's pretty fucking cool. There's not much else I really wanted to talk about besides, what I mentioned. There's a lot more spoilers I could get into. I just brought up the few things that I thought were like the most crazy. And yeah, I don't know. I thought the War Dogs thing was really cool because it's like, it makes sense that even Wakanda would have their own secret ops, despite already being quite secret themselves, but there's even secrets to the secrets. So yeah, shout out to Eyes of Wakanda and everyone involved. Pretty solid series. Very excited for more series in this vein, hopefully. What did you guys think, though? Did you watch it? Did you not? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments, and we could have further discussions there. That's why I make these videos, not just for the review's sake, but I would like to talk about the things that I like with people. So I will engage in the comments with you if you want to talk about it. Like, we can just yap about what we liked and what we disliked. I don't know. So please let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm not sure what my next review video is going to be. Whatever anime or show or thing comes out next, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. See you guys then. But I will put out other content too. So, stick around. Have a great day and goodbye. Peace. Wakanda forever. I debated ending the video with that or not. I feel like it's awkward if I do it, but hey man, you gotta do it with passion, I guess. I actually do love that as a thing. I just don't know if it's weird if I do it. I don't know. Some random Mexican. Let's try it one more time. Wakanda forever! Was that better? Wakanda forever! Wait, no, that's a bit... Hold on. Wakanda forever! Was that better? I don't know. This is getting kind of awkward. I'm gonna leave. Bye.